truth is manifested. This is a very exciting time for us, and I'm very excited to get started. So let's begin with Psalms 95. Oh, come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation. Let us come before his presence with thanksgiving, and make a joyful noise unto him with psalms. For the Lord is a great God and a great King above all gods. In his hand are the deep places of the earth. The strength of the hills is his also. The sea is his, and he made it, and his hands formed the dry land. O come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before the Lord our Maker. For he is our God, and we are the people of his pasture, and the sheep of his hand. Today, if you will hear his voice, harden not your heart, as in the provocation, and in the day of temptation in the wilderness, when your fathers tempted me, proved me, and saw my work. 40 years long was I grieved with this generation, and said, It is a people that do err in their heart, and they have not known my ways, unto whom I swear in my wrath that they should not enter into my rest. Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, brethren, guests, and especially new brethren, those who are supping for the first time, and especially to Sean. To Sean, a very special guy, all the way from California, and he came to have Passover with us and to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. By the way, I want to give a big shout out to the worship last night. It was fantastic. Had a great time. Of course, all of our celebrations are fantastic, but it is always good when they're glorifying and praising the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob in their music. It shows that we have a spectacular culture, and we have our own music. I like that. Today, we're going to address a very important subject. Well, all our subjects are important, but this is very special because we're asking the Jacobites, the children of slavery, to let Pharaoh go. What do I mean by that? In the early days, back in the days of our forefathers with Moses, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob sent Moses to tell Pharaoh to let his people go so that they could serve him. Today, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent our elder Shadrach, his messenger of the covenant, to tell the Jacobites, again, the children of slavery, to let Pharaoh go. So we kind of flip it. In the days of old, Pharaoh was told, let us go. Today, we are being told, let Pharaoh go. And we're going to break that down so you have a very good understanding, because a lot of people don't quite grasp what is going on today. But we have to let Pharaoh go, and we have to return home to the house of our father, into the family, the royal family of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. We have served 400 years of bondage and affliction. 400 years, right? And we've done that in this new Egypt, which is the USA. It is time for us now to return to our Father and to get caught up on our service that we have missed out on over these last 400 years. We are way behind, and we need to get caught up if we can. The time is right to let Pharaoh go, to return to our Father's home, and bring your friends and bring your supporters as well. They don't have to look like me. As long as they are willing to serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, they will be welcome. Our primary objective, our goal here, is unity and harmony. This is the key. And why is this important? Because I'm going to show you from the scriptures that you cannot serve two masters. You have to let one go and serve the other. The choice is yours, whichever you want to go. We are only going to give you the best suggestion that we can come up with. But you have to make the decision, ladies and gentlemen. We suggest, respectfully, that you let Pharaoh go. He doesn't need us anymore, and return home to our royal family and serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And do it in a very harmonious fashion. I like to use the analogy of an orchestra. And the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob is the conductor. And we, as his royal family, each one of us has a certain skill set. Some people are, they're good at making things. Others are good at writing. Some are good at dancing. Some are good at playing music, whatever. The collaborative effect is what we are interested in. Because when the orchestra comes together, according to the directions of the man with the baton, who is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, there's harmony. The music sounds sweet. And guess what? There's even dancing on the side. You see, this is what we want. This is why we're saying, let Pharaoh go, come home, and let us work together to serve the God of Israel. For those of you who followed the teaching of the Israelite nation, you would know that we have not only built the old Egypt, we built the new Egypt as well. We've used our talent, our God-given talent, to build a very powerful nation today, economically and militarily. Someone was talking to me this morning about breastfeeding, and I was telling her that all breast milk is not equal. When our mothers used to breastfeed the American children that didn't look like us, they got strong. They went out and conquered other nations. But once we stopped breastfeeding them, they started losing. They could not even win in Vietnam. And Vietnam, of course, is not up there with the United States. But that's just one analogy. So Pharaoh used us to build his Egyptian power network, both the old and new, as I said. He did it at our expense. We did not reap any reward. We are still waiting for reparations. The new Egypt is now part of a Gentile confederacy, and you have a situation whereby the Mohammedans sold us to the Christians, and the whole transaction was financed by the Khazars. Despite our invaluable contribution, however, this corporate trinity, where you have the Mohammedans, the Christians or Christianity, and the Khazars, the Judaism, they have insisted on keeping us at the tail end and not at the head where we belong. So the question then is, how do we get to the head? We cannot get to the head if we continue to serve Pharaoh. So we have to let Pharaoh go. Now, before we get further into this, we have to ask a question. Is Pharaoh to blame for our situation, or are the Jacobites at fault? Yes, in my opinion, the Jacobites are guilty. The Jacobites are guilty of disobedience, and they're guilty of disrespect. They disobeyed our father, and they disrespected him by choosing going with another father, right? And I say that because we have an everlasting covenant with the God of Israel, which cannot be broken. Well, we've broken it, but there's a penalty, let's put it that way. But we're not going to deal with that right now, because we know that 400 years of affliction, bondage and affliction, was well-deserved. We also know that Pharaoh was well-served. Now, he is rich and powerful, and he does not need our help anymore. So it's up to us now to move on and let him go. This is the thrust of this presentation. We have a lot of work to do, as I said. We need to get caught up on our service to our Father. And we are 400 years behind, let's put it that way, as far as our service is concerned. We need to get caught up. So let us go then. And the first point that I want to make is the fact that, let's go to the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 3, we'll read 31 to 32. And this is very important because a lot of Jacobites do not quite understand that we are to lead and not follow. It says, "Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the froward is abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous." The froward would be those that are not part of our family, or those that are not, they may be part, but are not acting in that concerted effort in harmony as prescribed. But his secret, and notice the God of Israel is all about secrets. His secret is with the righteous. The righteous are the ones that are obedient to his word. That's the first point that we have to understand. So by letting Pharaoh go, we don't have to worry about what Pharaoh did. We leave that to the judgment of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. The second point that we have to note, we'll go to the book of Exodus, and we will see that we have made a very sincere oath to serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So not only are we not going to follow the enemy, we have an obligation to our Father. So these 2 points are very important. Let us turn to Exodus 19, and we'll read from 5 to 8. It says, "Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine." See, I like that. When he says all the earth is mine, that's his signature. Okay? No one can touch that. He does what he wants because he owns. He has full control. It's his property. Verse 6, "And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests." So we don't have to worry about being Democrats or Republicans or communists or what have you. We have a kingdom. We just have to restore that kingdom because we are the princes and princesses of the God of Israel, who is the King of Kings. And if your father is the king, then you have to be a prince or a princess. And if you are in that royal category, then you have to behave accordingly. You can't have that ghetto mentality anymore. You've got to take that out of the way and learn how to behave in a respectful manner so that your father will be proud of you. Remember, none of us is an entity unto ourselves. We are the children of the king, and everything we do reflects on his name. I was talking to someone yesterday about Noah, and he was asking, why did Noah not curse Ham? I know a lot of ignorant people, like Christians, said Ham got cursed and he was made black. But it has nothing to do with it. That's why they shouldn't be using our book to teach. Noah cursed his grandson. In my humble opinion, I think if Noah had cursed Ham, then it would reflect on him, Ham's misbehavior. But by cursing Canaan, now Canaan's misbehavior will reflect on Ham. But that's a different story. Just throwing that out there. Verse 6, "And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests." Not just a kingdom of priests. This is the creator of heaven and earth speaking. Okay? And an holy nation. Look at the qualifications. Kingdom of priests, a holy nation. Makes a difference. We are the only ones that can be holy. And I'll prove that as we move on. Right? But we already have a kingdom in place. At least the structure is already in place. Notice we have the flag, our national flag. We would, if you want, we can have Elder Kistrilli sing the national anthem, or Natasha, or both, right? And we have we have the altar in place, which is very important. We are distinctive in so many different ways. We have the coat of arms. Nobody else on earth. We have a 7-branch candlestick. Nobody else on earth has that. Others use a 9-branch, right? But it works for them. It's not going to work for us, but that's okay. Let's move on. So, "Ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord." This is very powerful. Why am I reading this? Because we have the covenant in place. And what we have done here in this few verses, sign the covenant. Remember, there was a time when a man's word was worth more than anything. But I know that's not the way it is today. But God signed off on it. He says, all the earth is mine. And now we signed off by saying, we will do according to the words of our Father. And Moses took that signature back. It's coming from the Spirit. It can't get any stronger, any better than that. Okay? So this is important. So we've got the fact that we do not follow the enemy, and we have to abide by the terms of the covenant that we signed with our father. Very important. Coming back from Pharaoh, we have to be aware of these things, because these are the conditions under which we will serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So that would be our oath unto him. So remember this. In the Gentile system, they go to court, once a month, maybe, once a year, whatever. We live in the court of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. We are his chosen representatives. We are the doctors of the law, right? Therefore, we have been vetted by the God of Israel, and we are qualified, and I will prove this as we move on, to serve in his royal court. Not all men or women have that privilege. We have been specially chosen for that role. But we live this. This is not something that we do. If you want to go to court, you have to hire a lawyer. But we, if you want the truth, we are at your service. This is the point I'm trying to make. The third point is that we cannot serve two masters at the same time. That's why we have to let one go. And Pharaoh seems to be the most appropriate choice, because we have a covenant with the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, an everlasting covenant. So that agreement binds us with him. We cannot break that covenant. If we do, there are consequences. It's like not paying your mortgage or your car note or whatever. There's late charges, there's late fees, and there's additional charges if you don't pay. And guess what? If you refuse, they can come and take the house or take the car, and there's nothing you can do. In our case, we went to serve another God, if you will, right? Because we were disobedient and disrespectful. Now, so let us see then, if you go to the book of Matthew, and we will have to prove to you that we cannot serve the two masters at the same time. It says, Matthew 6, verse 24. It says, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he would hold the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. What is mammon? I looked it up. I think it's like worldly riches, stuff like that. But I believe that John, as the night scripture, will explain that. So you cannot have two. We're giving up Pharaoh, and we're moving back to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Because we have respect first to ourselves, because we have an agreement with him that we signed off on, and we say the oath on a daily basis to remind us that we have an obligation to fulfill. And now we can do exactly as we said we would do when we spoke to Moses, who witnessed our signature, our spiritual signature. No man can serve two masters, for either he would love one and hate the other. So we are getting rid of Pharaoh. See, I forgot his name already. And we are now going to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, back home to our father's house. This is what I like, because now our complete potential could be manifested over time. Now we can share with the family the God-given talent that we receive at birth. And it was just in us and waiting to emerge. In the fullness of time, things happen. Sometimes we cannot understand it, but it is beautiful, because it's only when you are in a like-minded environment that these things are made manifest. As I said, I've tried to rap many times, and Priest Santa laughs at me every time I try to rap. It's not my gift, but I like to write too. And I would write for anybody. I'm not good at rapping. Priest Kirk was good at rapping. Priest Sandler's good at rapping. That's okay. I can rap gifts, but that's not the same, But the point I'm making is each one of us have our God-given talent. When that talent is combined, we can make things happen. So maybe I can write the lyrics, Priest Sandler can rap it, Priest Kirk can do the dance, and so on. And it works perfectly like that. Let us continue here. If we go to the book of John, because I want to give the foundation. We don't want people to just come back and what do I do now? No. So For newcomers, we are happy to have you. We embrace you, but at the same time, we want you to see exactly some of the responsibility that you will have, some of your obligation. And the important point is it was always there. That covenant was always there. It's just that you may not have been aware of it. Now you know. Now you could step up another step, another level, because you probably thought, oh, I'm just like everybody. No, you're not. You're not ordinary. You're extraordinary, but you have to be shown how, and that's what we do. We help you. We come because we respect the fact that you heard the call and you returned, right? Because the God of Israel might blow the trumpet. A lot of people can't hear it. If you're at a club on a Friday or Saturday night and the trumpet is blowing, you're not going to you got the music going. You got the glass with the wine and the ladies dancing. You don't think about trumpets blowing. You just continue having fun. But for people that really want to serve the God of Israel, we are here to assist them, to hold your hand and guide you through the process. So if you go to the book of 1 John, chapter 2, and we can read from 15 and 16, he says in verse 15, love not the world. See, this goes along with Matthew 6:24. It says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. See, we could put Pharaoh instead of world, because Pharaoh is the one in the world. He runs the world. And it may be interesting because today we don't even know who Pharaoh is. Is it Biden? Is it the Pope? Is it Putin? We don't know. Maybe it's a collaborative effect because they all belong to the same club. And that's the key. At the end of the day, they all work against us, regardless of where you look. That's part of that Masonic Christian structure that does a great job in serving their God. Again, please note, we're not here to criticize. We're just here to enlighten, but we cannot compromise when it comes to the truth. So they do a fantastic job. And I'm not worried, because I tell you one thing that I've learned over the years. And a lot of people today, if you turn on the television, the first thing they tell you is you either see COVID or you see Russia and Ukraine. Why? The Russia, when it was the Soviet Union, they had the sickle and the cross. Some people call it a hammer, but if you look carefully, you'll see it's a cross. Then, and back then, the Khazars were in control, and Ukraine was under that same umbrella. And you go to China, they also have the sickle and the cross. And then you go to North Korea, they have the sickle and the cross. That is their national emblem. But wait, there's more. You go to the Vatican. If you have the eyes to see, you will see the same sickle and the cross. So what are we to make of these things? Why is that on television 24/7? It has nothing to do with us. We don't deal with the sickle or the cross. We deal with the 7-branch candlestick and the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So just to put that out there so that people don't get confused when they see these things. There's a lot more I could talk about that, but right now we're talking about letting Pharaoh go. Get rid of him so that he could do what he does best, and we can do what we've been chosen to do. So let us then continue the structure here so that those that are leaving Pharaoh behind could build on this foundation that we're offering. In the book of John, chapter 15, you will see, if you start from verse 18, it says, if the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. This is Christ speaking. The reason why this is so important is because there are a lot of people think that, oh, they don't like me because I'm black, or they don't like me because I don't have any hair. I could have brought my hair today, but sometimes I love to showcase the light that is within me. If you look at my head carefully, you'll see how it bounces off, right? I like that. At least there's no darkness. I'm a child of the light, and I let it show. As simple as that. So 18, if the world hates you, this is the key here. It's not about the color of your skin. You know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would have loved his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. This is why they go to great lengths to keep you next to them, so that you can learn their behavioral pattern, but you're not on their level. That's the key. Verse 20, remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. This is going to come in very handy, because this gives you the qualification to teach them about our God, right? But you have to rise beyond that petty foolishness of skin complexion. It is not about that. A lot of people don't understand. That has been used by the system that was established to keep us in our place. And they try to create, but you know what? I flipped the dice on that, because I'm saying it's more of an inferiority complex. Because if they were confident in whom they are, or who they are, then they wouldn't have to worry about what I look like. Just go do your thing. Let the chips fall where they may. But of course, I can hear Elder now. Michael, you're too logical. Anyway, so we're not going there. Let it be. There's a reason for everything, and that is good. So remember that it is not about you as an individual. It's about our Father. They don't like the fact that the God of Israel is about truth and righteousness, because they like to scam people. They like to, you put your order in, but you never get it shipped. And then they say, yeah, you got that. But they took your money, but you didn't get anything. Then you have to spend another $200 or $300 to get what you really wanted, whether it's actual cash or time. There's all kinds of different ways that they go about trying to get you, to get you to be at their level. We have to rise above that. We cannot allow others to dictate our behavior, especially the enemy. That has no place. The enemy has no place with us. We will show them that we are greater than they are. We are not at the same level, but the point is, because we serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, we can manifest a destiny that they could only dream of. And it is just that simple. So the world will hate us. We are comfortable with that. I like that, actually, because when I see the world and I see some of the things that they're doing, I'm like, damn, I'm glad I wasn't part of that. Let them do their thing. That's why they are the way they are. Whether they're rich or not has nothing to do with it. It is the wisdom of the God of Israel that we share as a people. That is what separates us from everybody else. And we'll get to that in a minute, because that's a high level awareness. Let's go to the book of Corinthians then, to make sure that we have another feature here. Again, I'm looking at the pillars that will assist individuals who are now moving from Pharaoh back to our Father's home, who are coming, And Pharaoh could be Christianity combined with Judaism, combined with Islam, combined with Freemasonry, however they want to call it. It is just a description of the same stuff, right? And that's how they serve their God. They break it into pieces. And you might be a little smidget here, a smidget there. I mean, if you look at what we did on History Meets Prophecy last week, you'll see some of that with the fraternities. All of that is part and parcel of the same thing we're talking about, to trap you into serving their God unknowingly. You think you're serving yourself because you might mix with people that have opportunities available to you, but the fraternities are all about serving Satan. And I could prove that. Go online and see for yourself what we talked about. Fraternities and sororities. Okay? And if you're not part of the Israelite nation, then there's only one other option. And that is Satan. It is as simple as that. Again, we're not here to criticize you. We're here to set the record straight as far as the truth is concerned. Because we alone receive the spirit of truth. It is just that simple. Now, going back to the 1 Corinthians, as I said before, chapter 10, we're going to read 2 verses there. because we're keeping this nice and short so that people could understand that there are certain precepts that they have to apply to their behavioral pattern. So 1 Corinthians 10:20 says, "But I say," this is Paul now speaking or teaching the Corinthians, our minister Paul. He says, "But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils." So we're not here to say they can't make sacrifice. We're not here to say that they can't have an altar, or even a 7-branch candlestick for that matter. Please, knock yourself out. But here's the difference. Let me read it again. "But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice," and that can go for anybody for that matter, outside of the Israelite nation, "they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils." Again, you got to choose. It's either Pharaoh or the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. There's not much more than that I can add to that. It is pretty straightforward. You cannot have dinner at Priest Sandal's house and Priest Tyrone's house at the same time. You got to choose one or the other. And that's putting it physical. Not that Priest Sandal's dinner is not, high level. It's very good, I know. I see the look on his face sometimes when he's eating. But the point I'm making is you have to choose, right? It is one or the other. It is either Pharaoh or the God of Israel. And remember that Pharaoh is only a vessel for Satan. That's the point that everybody misses. He is the vessel for I like to call them the hell boys, the fallen ones, you see? And when the hell boys do what they do it through him and all the ministers that he has. And they get a great reward for serving him. As a matter of fact, I did some research, and I'll tell you something that I discovered. I discovered, and I didn't pick everyone, that there's a guy who serves the Christian hellboys, and his net worth in 2016 was $27 million. Does anybody want to guess who that is? If you guess Creflo Dollar, notice the dollars is there. That's what I'm talking about. Net worth of $27 million. And this is 2016, probably more now. I also looked up T.D. Jakes, Thomas Dexter Jakes, Sr., and his net worth is $18 million. Again, they get their reward for serving the other side, right? Because they cannot be at God's table, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and at Pharaoh's table at the same time. But they get their reward for that moment, okay? I also looked up another guy, and his worth is $3 million, but he is on the Islamic side. So, I don't know, maybe he's a little bit more careful. But there is another guy that is their mentor, and he's worth $760 million. His name is Kenneth. 2016. And I looked and I said, wow, they're getting paid. And Kenneth, is the only one that I respected. I respected him because he grew up under that Christian umbrella. He's probably, part of that establishment, the fraternity. And he deserved that. But he mentored the other two children of Jacob that we talked about. And look at his salary or his net worth compared. $760 million compared to 18 and 27. Now you tell me, are they playing? Well, I don't know. I better not go there. So just to let it be. And the other guy, like I said, the Islamic guy only makes $3 million. But the point I'm making here is you get what you signed up for, right? If you want to do according to the will of our Father, then your reward cannot be measured in dollars and cents. Trust me on that. But if you sign up on the other guy, Bank account here, bank account everywhere. So no other God should be served by us other than the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And as I was coming in, I heard some people talking about it, and maybe I'll read it again just to make it official. It's Exodus 20, verses 1 to 6. It says, "And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." There is that separation from Pharaoh, okay? "Thou shalt have no other God before me." Reinforcement of the reason why you were brought out. You let Pharaoh go. No other God. "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth." Heaven above, earth, and the water. Don't make any likeness. "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them." A lot of people stop at verse 4. Don't make it, and if you make it, don't bow down to it. There lies a difference. "Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments." So we know whom we serve, and we know how to serve him. It doesn't mean that you can't have a picture of somebody. I mean, you have pictures of your wife, your children, whatever, at home, but you don't bow down to them. But if you have a seven-branch candlestick, it's okay to lift your hands and call on the God of Israel. Nothing wrong with that. But you don't lift your hands before the picture of your wife or your husband and call on, well, you can't call on the God of Israel. You have to call on that person if you worship in them by name. So there are things there that I think would help, fundamental things, because again, we're moving from Pharaoh to the God of Israel, to our Father's house. And we should understand the precepts that would allow us to do what is right. And keep in mind that we're coming from a deficit situation, 400 years deficit. So we need to get it right, because we cannot afford another 400 years. And who knows, if the first was 4, maybe the next one be 8. I don't know. So the point is, let's do it right this time and show him that, show our Father, that is, that the decision that was made was a sincere decision. Show our Father that we are just enamored by his wisdom to the point where we want to make up, if we can, for that deficit. We want to at least make an effort to do it. That's the key. Because again, like I said, 400 years of not doing what's right, only God knows. But here is something that you should use as an advantage. He has not forgotten his covenant with us. As bad and as terrible as we were as a people, he did not forget us as his children. That is worth a lot for us to take in, and that enough is worth for us to run away from Pharaoh and blank our mind, wipe our minds of all the memories that we had with him. And then look at the wisdom of the God of Israel so that we can put that in the forefront of our minds and remember to serve him and to remember the mercy that he showed upon us when we were not even worthy. That's the thing. We cannot individually repay him. But what we could do collectively is bring a sense of appreciation through praises and glorification that would make him smile. Maybe he can tap his fingers when he hears us singing. This is what it's all about. Moving from the left side to the right side. And by the right side, I mean doing what is right according to the word of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. No other God is worthy of worship besides him. And this is already spelled out in our everlasting covenant. Again, the covenant is very special. We don't have the time to get into all of it, but I'll just mention briefly. We cannot unilaterally make changes to the covenant. If This covenant was translated into the English language for our benefit. Okay? I love to be called Michael Melchizedek. I love M&Ms. But I don't dare change my name. That would be an insult to my Father. And any child that names him or herself, you have demonic issues right there. As I always say, you drop that child and run, because you don't look back, because that's not a normal child. So when people decide that they don't like the name Israelite, and they want to call themselves, say, Hebrew Israelite, for example, there is not one Hebrew Israelite in this book. This book of the covenant does not mention that group of people or that person by name. For the almost 40 years now, we've been asking to name one Christian in this book, in this Bible. One, for 40 years. I would even put some money on it. I would say I'll give you $50 if you can find one Christian. But wait, there's more. If you can't find him, I mean, you got 10 minutes, and you could, we'll get to it. If you can't find that Christian, I want $500,000. Make the check payable to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Thank you. But if you do find it, I will send you $50. And by the way, I want that in USD. And don't argue with me. I'm calling the shots. This is my scam. I have to use that word because it gets people attention. But no, I mean, honestly, if you could find it, find it. I mean, please. I could borrow $50 from Priest Sandal or Priest Freddie and send it to you. It's okay, not a problem. But if you can't find it, 500,000 USD, thank you. Payable to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. It is that simple. But that therein is the confidence that we have as a people. We are not here to, again, make you feel bad just because we tell you the truth. We are not here to make you feel good because we tell you the truth. We're here to make you do good. That's it. Simple. So we alone worship before the altar of God. An altar dedicated to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, with a 7-branch candlestick. As I said before, others may have an altar dedicated to another God with a 7-branch candlestick. Not the same. Some people up or down, I don't know what they did, they have a 9-branch. If it works for you, knock yourself out. We don't want that. We follow the instructions of our Father. That's an obedient child. I like that. Now, if you look at Pharaoh, he would require an ankh. You know, that thing with a circle and a cross attached? It's basically a cross. He also will require an obelisk, and he would probably want a 9-branch candlestick because, you know, he feels that that will give him a little bit of height over God. I don't know how he thinks. And by the way, that 9-branch candlestick, or even the 7 that is used by the Khazars, has 6 cubes on it. And if you know the cube, when it's unfolded, it's a cross. So each one of those, 6 crosses on that 7-branch candlestick. Like I said, if it works for them, I can't say anything else. But what I can say is this. We are the only ones that are the chosen witnesses unto the truth, which is the word of our Father. And this is why if you leave Pharaoh and you come back home to your Israelite family, you have to understand that you were chosen by the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob to witness unto the truth. Remember before I said we live in the courtyard of God. We don't just go to court to try somebody. It's our job. We are the doctors of the law. We know exactly how to deal with this. Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah said, our brother, in chapter 43, verse 10 and 11, he says, "Ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. I, even I, am the Lord, and besides me there is no Savior." So why would you want to hang out with Pharaoh when you could be with your Savior? Leave Pharaoh alone. If you leave Pharaoh, then this is just the beginning. Who knows where you would be in the next 400 years with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are the witnesses that he chose us to perform that task. And it is that simple. There's nothing else I can tell you but to tell you about Isaiah 54. It says, from verse 7, for a small moment. And I like this part because it shows his mercy. It shows that even though we were there and we did all the things that Pharaoh forced us to do, the God of Israel still had an eye on us. And I don't know how many tears he shed because of the affliction and the bondage that we endured. 400 years. From sunup to sundown. He says, for a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercies will I gather thee. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment. But with everlasting kindness I will have mercy on thee, saith the Lord, thy Redeemer. That's what I like about the God that we serve. The mercy that he demonstrates. When he doesn't even have to worry. He could have picked another people. But he definitely must have seen something in us that we have not seen in ourselves. And I've seen over the years, when we are good, we're the best. There's no one that can touch us. But oh my Lord, when we are bad, it doesn't get any worse. That's the sad part of it. Anyway, continuing from verse 9, it says, for this is as the water of Noah unto me. For I have sworn that the waters of Noah should no more go over the earth. So I have sworn that I would not be wroth with thee, nor rebuke thee. For the mountains shall depart, and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from thee. Neither shall the covenant of my peace be removed, saith the Lord, that hath mercy on thee. This is the confidence that we will share with you when you make that transition from Pharaoh back home to your Israelite father. This is amazing. We are speaking the words of the creator of heaven and earth, the one that created the spirit within each and every one of us. But yet, he is showing mercy for our transgressions. Says a lot. And that's not all. Christ confirmed that this sanctification. So let us go to the book of John and read from 17. Again, I'm keeping it short because I know there's a lot to take in, but for newcomers, it is important that you get the precepts, make note of these, and from time to time, when things are difficult, you want to go back and take a look and see that we've got your back. You know, the God of Israel is not letting you go. You're not just coming into the wilderness and no one there. Even when we were in the old wilderness, you know, he rained down manna and feathered fowl for us. You know, a lot of people, they say, you know, you guys like fried chicken. Well, of course I like fried chicken. My father sent no feathered fowl when I was in the wilderness. And I don't know if they had watermelon with it, but it's a good combination. Ain't that right, Priest Freddie? You know, so I don't take that as an insult. I take it as a compliment. You know, when they say I can't swim, of course I can't swim. I grew up next to the ocean. I've been in, but I don't swim. Why? Because my father parted the waters. And not even my shoes were muddy. I walked through on dry ground. And when the time came, we even walked on the water. That's power. So I don't have to swim. I just have to be obedient to my father and respect him. And he does the rest. It's beautiful. We can't beat that. But in the book of John, if we read from 9, I'm not going to get all of this, but we'll just read some of it. He says, this is Christ, I pray for them, I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. Now, so if he's not praying for the world, Pharaoh's not getting any advantage here. It's only for us. So why would you want to be with him and he is outside of the kingdom of God? Remember, we are the kingdom of priests, the holy people. Verse 10, and all mine and thine are mine, and I am glorified in them. And then he goes on, but I'm going to skip down to, because I don't have a lot of time. He says, verse 14, I have given them thy word, and the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. See, that's what happened when you leave Pharaoh. You make the transition from the world. Even though you're in the world, now you're not of the world. And that takes a special characteristic of the individual because we don't have any fanatics here. We can balance this process. Fanaticism means if you don't behave a certain way, or, when I said behave a certain way, if you don't do what you're told to do, and then you hate people because it might not look like you or whatever. We don't do that. Or you only like guys, you don't like women. That's weird, but anyway. It is what it is. Yeah, these are things that happen. Because when you look at the other philosophies, this is what you see. We are the only ones. We put children up here to teach. On the Zoom, on YouTube. I'm sorry, but my point is, you can get an 11-year-old boy or girl that can speak wisdom compared to some of the other people. I don't want to get into it because I don't have a lot of time. But anyway, he says, I've given them thy word, and the world hath hated them, because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. I pray not for that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but that thou shouldest keep them from the evil. See, there's in the difference. If there's no evil with you, then you can act in a righteous manner consistently. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Here's the point I'm getting to. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. See? And we can go on. But the sanctification is confirmed now by Christ. And the truth is the key. We are the ones that receive the truth. And as I like to say, if there's only two options, if we got the truth, what did the rest of the world get? You can figure it out. It is not that difficult, when we say that we are the only ones that are authorized to teach. And you can read that at your leisure in the book of Matthew 28, 19 and 20. No one else is allowed to teach from this book besides us. It is that simple. And anyone else that tries, they're telling you they're lying. Now, lies are profitable, as we've said at the beginning. But we are not into that. This is why we as a people were able to sing the Negro spirituals, why we were with Pharaoh. Even Pharaoh didn't understand what we were singing. Because if he did, he would have stopped us from trying to get across the river or the border. The point I'm making is it takes a very special person, a person who serves the God of Israel, the God who created the heavens and the earth. You have to be chosen by him. You have to be called, and he's going to put the environment in place so that you could relish in his wisdom while you are there. Because it's not just to call you and then let you go. You have to be guided through the process. So all those that sup for the first time, and even those that supped last year and are supping again, that's confidence. That means that there's something in this word, something about the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob that clings to your spirit. And I like that. And if there's anything that we can do to help you to understand these scriptures, to help you to build on your understanding, we are here to help. And we appreciate the fact that you have made that transition from Pharaoh's kingdom to the Israelite nation worldwide ministries, where the kingdom of priest is unfolded. Remember, we are all priests. That's the objective. To be a priest according to the word of God, to the entire world. You see, I like to say, and I know some people take this the wrong way, that when I'm here at the nation, I'm a student. When you're here, you're a student. But when you go out in the world, you are a God. And if you understand that, you will serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob in spirit and in truth. So that even though you are there, in the world, you allow him to use your vessel to speak the truth. The same way he did with our forefathers from the time of Moses until today. And that, to me, is one of the greatest satisfactions you can get, because you're not just sharing your wisdom, you're sharing the high-level wisdom. Wisdom that is not available elsewhere. Now, you have the fallen ones, and they do their thing as well. That's how Pharaoh got his power, right? They use psychology, they use philosophy, and they control people's minds by these things. That's fine. They do what they have to do. And as bad as they are, if you want to call it that, again, it's all about serving their God. And I respect and admire that. This is one of the things I've learned. My elder has taught me, I think I was about 5 or 7 at that time. He says, we don't criticize and we don't compromise, right? So when we see people out there serving their God, when we see them with their crosses, we respect them and admire that. Because look, they shut down the entire city, the entire nation was closed just on Friday. And I think on Monday, they're shutting it down again. Now, we're not trying to do that. But my point is, they are serving their God. I can't even go and buy a glass of water because everything is closed. That's the power of the other side, you see? And it works for them. It doesn't work for us. So what we're saying here today is, please leave Pharaoh alone. Let Pharaoh look after himself. We've done our job. Pharaoh is now powerful, he's rich, and he has a lot to keep him comfortable and in a state of harmony, I guess, with his fallen ones, his hellboys. He doesn't need us anymore. But we have a job to do to serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We have an opportunity to bring your skill sets together in this nation and let it unfold. You might be surprised how high, if you're a singer, how high those notes you could hit without losing your breath. If you are a good rapper, you may be surprised also how good you could be by serving the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. If you have other skills, writing or what have you, these are things that we need. When we work together, all of these things are made manifest because we serve the greatest God. So remember the mercy that the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob showed us because of the transition from Pharaoh back home. He, as he said, for a moment he was upset, just briefly. But after he realized, well, I couldn't really speak for him, but I'm sure he realized that we are flesh and bone and we are, vulnerable. But he, despite all of the high-level wisdom, he humbled himself and showed mercy upon each and every one of us. That is something that we should take with close to heart and never forget that. And do not allow that opportunity to present itself again. Show him that his decision to take us back into his house is worthwhile. So with that, I say to you, continue to serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Forget what happened in Egypt about Pharaoh, and remember you're in the world, but not of the world. And we are only to be concerned at this moment, anyway, with our service to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And with that, I say peace. Thank you.
Enjoying the program so far. We're excited you've joined us for today's event. If this is your first time, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to click the notification bell to be kept up to date with all the latest news. Also, take a second to like, comment, and share our videos. That's right, like, comment, and share our videos. We would really appreciate that. Also, We are really passionate about sharing our Israelite culture and would welcome your generosity in helping us to reach more people. So please feel free to leave us a donation. If you would like to learn more or are thinking about joining us, then please go ahead and fill out the form in the description box below, and a member of the Welcome Committee will be in contact. Thank you so much for your time, and I leave you with peace, love, truth, prosperity, and power.
Peace and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. I am Priest Freddie, Elder Freddie, whichever. That was Elder Michael. Where did he go so quickly? Can you give him another round of applause, please? Elder Michael. I'm going to tell you a few things about him a little bit later on. But before I get into anything, I just want to turn to the scriptures to open up, and I'll go to Psalm 118. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, because his mercy endureth forever. Let Israel now say that his mercy endureth forever. Let the house of Aaron now say that his mercy endureth forever. Let them now that fear the Lord say that his mercy endureth forever. I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me and set me in a large place. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? The Lord taketh my part with them that help me. Therefore shall I see my desire upon them that hate me. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. All nations compass me about, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. They compass me about, yea, they compass me about, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. They compass me about like bees. They are quenched as the fire of thorns. For in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. Thou hast thrust sore at me that I might fall, but the Lord helped me. The Lord is my strength and song, and has become my salvation. The voice of rejoicing is in the tabernacles of the righteous. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. The right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. I shall not die, but live, and declare the works of the Lord. The Lord has chastened me sore, but he has not given me over until death. Open to me the gates of righteousness. I will go into them, and I will praise the Lord. This gate of the Lord, into which the righteous shall enter, I will praise thee, for thou hast heard me, and art become my salvation. The stone which the builders refused has become the headstone of a corner. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Save now, I beseech thee, O Lord. O Lord, I beseech thee, send now prosperity. Blessed be he that cometh in the name of the Lord. We have blessed you out of the house of the Lord. God is the Lord, which hath showed us light. Bind the sacrifice with cords, even unto the horns of the altar. Thou art my God, and I will praise thee. Thou art my God, and I will exalt thee. O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Selah and Selah. Amen. Again, welcome. Welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. It is that time of the year, the most wonderful time of the year for us as a family and for us as a people. And it's a very interesting topic that we're going to cover today, and we have been covering. Thank you very, Elder Michael, for that subject matter until he gets back here. Elder Michael is a very unique individual. I met Elder Michael just as I began my journey as an Israelite and being part of this family. I met him, oh my goodness, I would say, what is it, about 30 years now? About 31 years, Elder Kistrili? About 31 years. Elder Michael was my very first educator in the doctrine of Israel. I met him before I met Elder, and then I met Elder and yourself, Elder Kistrili, at the same time. And it was very shortly after that, it was my first Passover. Passover is by far, for me, the best time of the year. Apart from baptism, there's Passover, and there's not much that can really touch what we do at Passover. Because for me, Passover it is what brought everything home to me. My early days of learning, we did things differently than what we do now. Because when I first met Elder Michael, I was on a journey, and I was looking. There comes a point in time in your life when you're searching. You don't know what exactly it is that you're looking for. But for me, my quest was to pretty much find myself and who I was at that young age of 21. Wow, that was a long time ago. It seemed almost as if it was yesterday. But we were introduced to the first copy of Elder's book, The Truth, the Lie, and the Bible. I was on a quest and a search looking for my identity and looking for my heritage, and reading some book about African history. And then I was introduced and I met an old friend of mine that I knew growing up. Lewis, I think you might know him as well too. Growing up in Jane and Finch, Lewis, we had a plethora of characters and people that we grew up. Your cousin being one of them. I'm not speaking about your cousin at this moment in time, but I grew up with your cousin, and we got into a lot of trouble. We caused a lot of trouble. And never in a million years would I think that I would be a person reading the Bible, learning from the Bible, and teaching from the Bible. That wasn't in the cards. That wasn't something that I was looking forward to. I was content with causing trouble and growing up. But yeah, most young children, that's what we do. But we read the Truth, the Lie, and the Bible, and my experience with the Bible began as this. We read from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. And we went through all the way to Deuteronomy chapter 20, to the last 5 books. And by the time we got there, I mean, this is a series of weeks. We would go and sit down and meet every Saturday. We would meet, and then by the time we got to the end of Deuteronomy, I was like, okay, so I'm convinced. It didn't take much for me, although I grew up in a Christian household like most of us. We all grew up as Christians. I could remember from my early days, there was always this picture on the wall, and there was always a statue, an image of this guy. Didn't know who the guy was or what he meant or what he was about, but he was always there. And then there was that picture in the kitchen. Just above the dining room table, there was a picture of these people. I had no idea who they were. None whatsoever. But, you know, when you look back and you reflect on these things, and when you come into the understanding of who you are and what those things meant, you start to just appreciate and understand just how long this thing has been with us. Just how long. And I'm just reflecting on my life, but I'm seeing it has been a long season. I can't even count 400 years. I have no idea what that means or how, but all I can do is when you go back and when you do your own research and when you look things up and then you start to really understand that it has been a long time. And as everything starts to unfold and everything starts to unravel, I did not begin this journey looking to say that I'm an Israelite. I did not look for that. But this is one of the things that the journey to Israel, it's in such a way that you're going to be put on a path. And then on this path, some things will make sense to you, other things will not. But the more and more and more that you get involved with the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, it is more that you start to understand exactly how things are supposed to be. I have to say that I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed and thankful that I was able to actually let go of Pharaoh. Letting go of Pharaoh was probably the hardest thing to do, because it's extremely difficult. Once you start to see and understand what we have in front of us in these 66 books of this Bible, the information that is contained within these pages, and I'll give you an example of that. I'm going to go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 3. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 31. It states here, "Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways." Envy not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. When you read this Bible, outside of the jurisdiction of putting on the lenses of an Israelite, it would seem as if, okay, well, it's a pretty simple scripture. But throughout this Bible, and especially at this time of the year, you will see that there is a consistent story. And that consistent story is about the oppressor and the oppressed. The oppressor and the oppressed. The children of Israel. I had an experience at work. I'm always having these experiences at work. A person said to me, and we were just talking in general, and then, I don't know what it is about our people, but for some strange reason, they always seem to think that there is this big to-do about Egypt. Because the first thing that any black person is going to tell you, when they figure that, oh, I have knowledge and I have something, and first thing I want to tell you is about the Egyptians and how the Egyptians were black people. Like the Egyptians were black people. They did great things and they built great pyramids and they're the first civilizations and this and that. And this was one of those weeks when I had a lot of these experiences when I just kind of sat there and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're rolling your eyes, you want to say something, but you don't want to get into it, because if you figure that you get into it, I'm never going to finish work, I'm never going to finish what I have to do. It'll be one conversation to the next and to the next, and it's like, wow, Egypt. No one ever stops and says, oh, wait a minute. Didn't the Egyptians enslave Israelites who were black people just like them? Did they not enslave? Because you can't get away from the story of Egypt unless you talk about the story of the children of Israel. You can't talk about Israel unless you talk about Egypt. So there is a bond that is there between the oppressed and the oppressor, and that bond has been there long before any of us living currently now, from the past 300 years, the past 400 years, if you can live that long. That bond has been there for thousands upon thousands of years. A bond that cannot be broken. It would seem as if there is almost a covenant between the children of Israel and Egypt, where there should be a covenant between the children of Israel and the God of Israel. It seems as if there is a covenant that can't be broken, because we always seem to want to choose the ways of our oppressors. And why is that? Why do we choose the ways of our oppressors? Even when the Egyptians have been painted white, even when the Egyptians appear to be white, we still choose the ways of our oppressors. I'll give you another thing that happened this week. Where I live, just shortly around the corner, there is a shrine. And for those of us who don't know, we refer to shrines as what people call churches nowadays. It's a shrine. Because a shrine is a place where you go to worship the dead. And as you start to increase in your understanding and in your knowledge, you will start to see how much we are so reliant upon worshiping the dead. Now, this shrine, it might be because of the whole COVID situation, but since I moved into that neighborhood, I have never seen a car in the parking lot of that shrine. Never. Not once. But it was on Friday. Friday, I had to leave the house. And as I turned the corner, there's a pylon and a car. There's a car and a pylon behind it. And as I'm driving up, I'm seeing that there's another car in the same situation, and there's a pylon in front of that. So these two cars are there. They're basically blocking the entrance to the shrine. And as I'm driving by it, the parking lot was full. The parking lot was just full of cars. I'm like, maybe it's the COVID thing. I don't know. Maybe because they started letting people. But I can't recall ever seeing a car in that parking lot. And it's got to be something, because Friday was the day that they call Good Friday. They call it Good Friday. Amazing. Very, very eerie week. This Friday, they said that, oh, well, there's not going to be any work on Friday. There's no work on Friday. So, okay, there's no work, so I don't go into work. But I'm telling you, it felt as if the world was dead. And it just so happens that it is Good Friday, they call it. We call it Evil Friday. We call it Bad Friday. But we know it's very hard to understand that how they say that this is the day that Jesus was killed, on Friday. They say they killed him on Friday. But yet it's a good day. It's a great day. It's good. You just killed the Son of God. It's a good day. I don't understand it and I don't get it. But it's a good day. But herein lies what we do here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, because we are here to educate. We are here to teach. We are here to tell the truth. And in doing so, we have to glorify our God. We glorify the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. This is our only mission in life, and that is to sound the trumpet. We're not here to convince folks. We're not here to save anybody's soul. That's not our job. That's above the pay grade. Saving souls is not part of the contractual agreement. So therefore, we're not going to be saving any souls today. However, we will encourage, we will educate, and we will explore this book, these 66 books of this KJV version of the Bible, 1611 translation. Learn not the ways of your oppressor. But yet we always seem to just take it on. And then to the point where we're even better than our oppressors. We do the job better than the oppressors. We serve the oppressor's God better than the oppressor can serve their God. Another example of this. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 44. And why it's so important for us to let go of Pharaoh. It says here, from the first verse, the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the Jews which dwell in the land of Egypt would dwell at Migdol and Thamphanes and Nop in the country of Pathos, saying, Thus saith the Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, Ye have seen all the evil that I brought upon Jerusalem and upon all the cities of Judah, and behold, this day they are a desolation, and no man dwelleth therein, because of their wickedness which they have committed, to provoke me to anger, in that they went to burn incense and serve other gods, whom they knew not, neither they nor their fathers. So, Exodus is someplace about, I would say, I'm not looking really, but Exodus is somewhere here. If anybody has their Bible, you see. Exodus is at the beginning of the book. We are now in Jeremiah, one of the prophets. So, we left Egypt. The whole story of Passover, it tells of our story and the birth of our nation as a people. We left Egypt. But here you have, hundreds of years later, our people have gone and moved back into Egypt. Moved back to Egypt. When the God of Israel said, do not come to this place anymore. You shall see it no more again. Leave Egypt. He took us out of Egypt. But hundreds of years later, we went back to Egypt. And it says here in verse 4, howbeit I sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear, nor turned from their wickedness to burn no incense unto other gods. Wherefore my fury and my anger has poured forth, and is kindled in all the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they were wasted and laid desolate as it is this day. Therefore now thus saith the Lord God of hosts, the God of Israel, wherefore commit ye this great evil against your souls, to cut off from you man and woman, child and suckling, out of Judah, to leave you none to remain, in that ye provoke me unto wrath with the works of your hands, burning incense unto other gods in the land of Egypt, whereby ye are gone to dwell, that ye might cut off yourselves, and that ye might bring a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth. This is some serious stuff. This is not something that started just yesterday. I don't know about some of you, but I was raised in a Jamaican household. And during this time of the year, Lennox, I see you laughing. I see you laughing. This time of the year, something very curious happens. If you're raised in a Jamaican household. But you ever notice that what we do as Israelites, our God, people try to make it seem as if, you know what, I'm gonna go search and look for God, and I'm gonna climb some mountains, and I'm gonna go to the Himalayas, I'm gonna go look for God. I'm gonna turn up every stone, and I'm gonna go to the uttermost parts of the earth just so that I can find God. And when you do find their God, it's a complex set of rules and regulations and things you can do, things you can't do, and what you should do, it's very complex. You ever notice how the God of Israel, he's very, very simple. Extremely simple, to the point that you would think, really? That's it? Are you sure? No, that can't be it. Like, really? Serving God is just like that? It's very simple. It's not a complex thing to serve the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. It is not. But notice how simple this is. The Feast of Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that we kept, that this past week, we kept the Feast of Unleavened Bread. This is how simple it is. Unleavened bread. And it's very simple to make. The instructions are there within the scriptures on how to make it. It's not very complex. I think there's the flour, oil, water. Just those three ingredients. Just those three ingredients. Just keep it as that. And what else? And lamb roasted by fire, or roasted the best way that you can roast it under the circumstances, and bitter herbs. It's really quite simple. Nothing complex, nothing outrageous. There's no lights, no shows, no smoke, no pyrex or anything like that. Just keep it simple. Serving the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, it is the most simplest thing that you can do. There are no frills. There's no unknown words like Lent. I have no idea what that is. There's no ashes that you take and have to get ashes, and there's Eucharist and all these sort of fancy things. I don't know. I'm a very simple person. I'm not very complicated. I'm not complex. I have a hard time speaking English. Sometimes I can't even pronounce the words. But here you have it. People want to make it complex. And that's why what I appreciate so much about the God of Israel. He makes it very simple. You want to serve me? Okay, fine. Sure. No problem. There's my people. Do what they do, and then you can gain access to serving the God of Israel. Really simple. How do you serve me? Well, here are some statutes. Here are some commandments. Here are some laws. Very simple. Now, it's not complex. Our Passover feast, the meal that we have, is so simple. Why is it so simple? Under the circumstances, we had to leave Egypt in a hurry, in a rush. There is no time to do anything. There was no time even for the bread to rise. So, as shepherds, and this is very important, as shepherds, what do? Well, hey, just follow the instructions of what he said. I mean, that's all you have to do to serve the God of Israel. Just follow the instructions. And the instructions are always here in the book. Like, you don't have to come outside of these 66 books to find the instructions on how to serve the God of Israel. It's very simple. However, I must warn you, since the time that I started worshiping the God of Israel and being a practicing Israelite, it has been very, very, how can I say it? The waters have gotten a little bit muddy and murky because it's not like how it used to be. I remember in the days where no one wanted to be an Israelite. No one wanted to be an Israelite. I remember an event downtown at Harborfront, and it was pandemonium. It was just sheer madness, trying to teach the children of Israel that they were Israelites. At that time, everybody was Afrocentric, and they wanted nothing to do with Israel. It was like we were speaking English, but yet what they understood and what they were hearing was not English. They weren't ready for it. Fast forward now, and in a mere 20 years, and everybody and their grandmother and their dog and their cat is an Israelite. Everyone wants to be an Israelite. So it's very difficult for people nowadays to find their way through all of the stuff that's out there, because you just type in Israelite and everybody's an Israelite. I remember when no one wanted to even say that word. No one wanted even to utter Israelite. What is that? Are you Jewish? What do you mean? What is this? Israeli is what? Israelite. That's why nowadays I can't even bother. It's just too much. Way too much. Especially, and this is no disrespect, especially to the older generation. Like, folks like my parents. Folks like my parents. No, not not you guys. You guys are good. But folks like my parents, it's very hard, because the whole thing of bun and cheese. The whole thing of bun and cheese. Like, you go to the grocery store and that's all they're doing is bun and cheese. But this is the time of year for us where we remove all leavened products from the house. There's nothing in the house that is leavened, that has risen, that yeast or salt or anything, or bread or anything like that. So look at that. Look at how what's created, it goes in contrary to what we are supposed to do at this set time of the year. And this year, it's right on point. Sometimes you would have Passover a little bit later. They might have their Easter sooner. But this year, the exact same day, exact same time, everything coincides. right on point. I hate this time of year when it comes to dealing with that whole Easter thing, because no one ever really goes and tells you, okay, well, what exactly is Easter? They just tell you, here, eat the bun and cheese, and it's Easter. They don't tell you that it's a hot cross bun. They don't tell you where the hot cross bun came from. They don't tell you that it was the English that brought it, the whole hot cross bun, to Jamaica. And because they couldn't find all that honey that they used to, we just use molasses. So we don't have the bun. But it's the same bun and cheese. And you ever notice how this is the time of the year when they make the best bun and cheese? The best bun and cheese. Like, they import stuff, and it's not like you go there on a regular basis and you can get some Ralph's bun and cheese or some other bun that's there, just the regular stuff. But man, this time of year, what they do, they soak all the currants, they soak all the raisins. I think maybe about a year or so they gotta soak it, and then they, oh my goodness, they hook it up. They make evil so sweet. Imagine that. They make evil. So when you read a scripture like Jeremiah 44, and when it tells you, I'm just gonna read a little bit more. It's I'll skip down because it's very interesting what they say here. Now you'll understand why it's so difficult for us. Verse 11. Should I go to verse 11? No, I'm gonna go to. I'll go to verse 15. It says, "Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and all the women that stood by a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Pathros, answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee." That's your people, Lennox. "We will not hearken unto thee," boldly. This is serious. "But we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, our kings and our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, for then we had plenty victuals and were well and saw no evil." So how can you convince such a people that what they're doing is wrong, that what they're doing is against the God of Israel? How can you do that? How can you convince those people when the spirit inside of those people has said, we will do whatsoever we want to do? Even though you come in the name of the Lord, we don't care. We don't care. We know that he is the God of heaven. We know that he is the God that parted the Red Sea and let all the people through on dry land and destroyed all of Egypt, but we don't care. What kind of people are these? We do not care. We saw no evil. Verse 18, "But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine." What they're saying here is that when we are serving this particular God that you said not to serve, everything is good. It's copacetic. We don't want anything else. But when we turn away from the Queen of heaven and try to serve the God of Israel, things are different. Things are not as smooth. And I have to warn you, and I have to let everyone know, especially for the newcomers, because I tried this when I first came into Israel. I said to myself, wow, that means that I'm a child of Israel. That I could pray to the God of Israel and get anything. That's what I thought. I thought way back in the day that I could pray to the God of Israel and hey, I can get anything because that's my dad. That's my God. I can get anything that I want. When you decide to spiritually cross, or should I say, put that line in the sand, when you do that, just know that what you were doing your entire life before, all those entities, all those spirits, all those people around you, they're not going to leave they're not going to want to leave so soon. They don't want to leave because they're comfortable. When you are doing things against the God of Israel, they're comfortable. And when you cross over to the other side, they're there trying to pull you back. So believe you me, your life at this point in time is going to get a lot more complicated. You're going to have people come against you that you thought were with you. And people that used to favor you, they're not going to favor you anymore. This is the process that it takes when you are serving the God of Israel. Why is that? Well, we just read. It was thousands of years ago that our forefathers, our mothers, and our fathers, our kings, our princes, our elders, everyone were serving the gods of Egypt. It says here, this is Egypt, in the land of Egypt. They went back to Egypt to serve the gods of Egypt again. Back to the oppressor and back to Pharaoh. When we should have let Pharaoh go, we continue to serve Pharaoh. It's not an easy road because everything that we do, everything that you face, every obstacle and everything that looks good, it goes back to Egypt and it goes back to Pharaoh. As Elder Michael mentioned earlier, you cannot serve two masters. You can't. But at the same time, you have to choose either or, because there is no middle ground. You either choose the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, or you choose the lie. You choose the God of life and God of the living, or you choose the God of death and the God of the dead. There is no middle ground. And currently at this point in time, the earth that we live on is governed by the God of death. That is the situation that we are in right now, at this very moment in time. Not much has changed since these days here that we spoke about, that we just read with Jeremiah. I want to go into the New Testament. A lot of times people want to say that we read too much of the Old Testament, and that's all we talk about is Old Testament and Old Testament that. So we'll explore. And let's get into the New Testament. In the New Testament, I'm going to go to Matthew, the book of Matthew. We're going to see how difficult it is for our people to let Pharaoh go and why they actually don't want to let Pharaoh go. Matthew chapter 24, at the first verse, it says here, "And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple." So, this is an infamous person, Jesus the Christ, a person that we all grew up hearing about, a name that was forever imprinted and stamped and carved into our minds, but yet we knew nothing about him. We all grew up knowing this person, Jesus, and had no idea, no clue, nothing, just completely blank as to who this person is, what this person was, what this person did or said. Everything was just, and it is still today. Like, that's all they say is Jesus. is the be all and end all to everything. Just Jesus, and that's it. Just believe in Jesus. But how are you going to believe in someone that you know nothing about? How can you honestly say that you believe in Jesus? I'll take you back to the story that I had, the experience that I had not too long ago. The co-worker of mine, his daughter gave him something, and he said he's going to put it in his wallet, and he said he put it right there behind the picture of Jesus. I'm like, oh, what? You put it right behind the picture of Jesus in your wallet? He said, yeah, look. And then he pulls it out, and he says, see? There he is. I'm like, whoa. I said, you know that, you and I both know that is not Jesus. You and I both know that. He says, yeah, but when I see the black Jesus, he said, when I see the black Jesus, they always make him, and I say, well, Jerry curls? Yeah, he's got this long hair, and it just don't look right, so I prefer this. He said, I prefer this one. It is the worst thing that you can do to yourself. You, as a child of slavery, you as a descendant of those people that they drag kicking and screaming to this side of the Atlantic. You don't understand that you having a God that doesn't identify with you, that doesn't look like you, it is the worst thing that you can ever do to yourself. The worst thing is to say, this is my God. Look at him. Like, wow, that is the height of self-hatred. You cannot get any higher, or any lower, I should say, as Elder Michael would put it. When it comes to self-hatred, if you can show me what your God looks like, and if your God does not look like anything like you, that is the epitome of self-hatred. If your God does not look like you, and he looks like that thing. So the only thing I could do was laugh. Like, it was such a situation. Like, he literally had the picture in his wallet. And the guy was standing on a rock and had all these children beneath him. I'm like, wow. And behind the head was this glowing thing, and I was like, oh my. That's their Jesus. That's what they expect you as an Israelite to believe in when they say that Jesus is God. When they say Jesus is God, that's what they mean. They mean that person, that image is God. Let that sink in. Just a little bit. Let it sink in, and you will understand the depths of where we have gone and the journey that we have to take in order to correct this path that we're on. It's almost impossible. It is practically impossible. That is why I am so glad it's not up to me. It is not my job to save anybody's soul. Thank you, God of Israel. Because I can't do it. I cannot. I tried. Like we all tried that when we first learned about Israel, we tried to get that family meeting together. And you tried to get everybody to sit down and, hey, guess what I found out? You know what the response was? Well, you know how long I've been reading this Bible? Sorry, sir. You know how long I've been reading this Bible? That's what I got. Because that's what I got, man. And Elvis was there too. Everybody was like, where'd everybody go? I'm looking around. They just got up and left that table so quick, man. That was that family meeting I tried to hold back in those days, man. Never worked out. I'm just letting you know. If you know what I'm talking about. If you grew up in that situation and in that environment, and you go and try to teach those people who you grew up with that I've discovered who we are as a people. I've discovered what it takes for us to regain our strength and our identity and everything. And wow, that's all I got. You know how long I've been reading this Bible? Man. So, Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and the disciples came, and they wanted to show him the buildings. We need to know this. It's very important that in the same chapter, the same book of Matthew, if we go to Matthew chapter 10, very important for us to know. Very, very important. We know this. Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. I'm going to get back to Matthew chapter 24. But it says here, from the first verse, "And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits, to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sicknesses and all manner of disease." Now, the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, the publican, James, the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12, and you can go back and read it when you have the opportunity. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, did anybody notice somebody missing? Somebody's missing from the attendance list. Because if you're gonna say Paul, there is no Paul amongst the 12. So be very careful when you read this Bible, because I will tell you this, just based off of my experience. When those of another philosophy, or should I even say another? From those people with that philosophy, the Extian philosophy, the first thing that they're going to do to try and teach you anything about this Bible is quote from the books of Paul. The reason why I mentioned those 12, why I read those 12, because Paul is not in attendance here. So of the 12 disciples, the apostles that are here, there is no one here by the name of Paul. No one. That's just an interesting fact that I have to state. We'll return ourselves to the regular scheduled program and go back to Matthew chapter 24. And Jesus said unto them, "See ye not all these things? Verily, verily, I say unto you, ye shall not lift up one stone upon another, that shall not be thrown down." Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of the coming of the end of the world?" And Jesus answered and said unto them, "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." This is a very interesting book and a very interesting chapter, because he's telling his disciples what are the conditions that will take place during that time. And ye shall, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Want to guess when this was written? Anybody want to guess when this was written? If you're out there in Cyberland, if you're in the chat group, you can throw in something randomly as to what you think. But it sounds a lot like today. Does it not? It sounds a lot like today. But it was like that yesterday. And the day before that. And the day before that. The months before that. The years before that. And the years before that. Going back to this very day. When these words were uttered and then these things were written down. The conditions haven't changed much. Have they? They have not changed much. Very interesting. It's something for us to think about and something for us to ponder, that the situations haven't changed to the point where they would deceive the very elect. A lot of people are not aware of the thin line that there is between what is truth and what is the lie. It's a very, very thin line. Let's go to what I'm referring to in the book of Acts. You'll find this in Acts chapter 12. Acts chapter 12. Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. The same James that we just read about in Matthew chapter 10. And because he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. So, here you have a king killing the Jews. And these Jews are Israelites, were Israelites. So, it made the Jews happy that you were killing their own people? Strange. But yes, this King Herod was killing the same people. It says here, then were the days of unleavened bread. The days of unleavened bread. And when he apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to the 4 quarantinos of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. This will be the only place within the scriptures that you will find this word Easter. That you would find anything referring to Easter. Just this one place. How is it nowadays? Especially now. Everyone is saying Happy Easter. Everyone is talking about Easter. Everything has to do with Easter. But we just read, it says here in verse 3, and because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. And in the very next scripture, verse, it says here, and when he had apprehended him, he put him in a prison and delivered him to the 4 quarantinos of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. If you didn't know any better, if you were not educated by the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, you would think that unleavened bread, the days of unleavened bread, and Easter are one in the same. But they are not. They're not one and the same. I recently found out that Easter is on Good Friday is when they say they killed him. They killed him on Good Friday. So Easter is supposed to represent the resurrection of Jesus. That's what it's supposed to mean. The resurrection of Jesus is what this whole Easter thing is about. Did you know that, Elder Michael? No? Well, you know, you the good thing about being who we are, we did you say you're a Catholic? Is that what you said? Oh, you're Anglican then? Catholic, Anglican, Protestant, Quaker, who knows, man? They're all the same thing. Because they all celebrate Easter. And they all keep Easter. And Easter is supposed to be the death of Jesus and then the resurrection on Easter Sunday. But what they don't tell you about this ancient pagan ritual is that this goes way back to worshiping the sun. This is nothing more than Egypt once again. So you're still not letting go of Pharaoh. Even though you changed the name, you changed this and that, it's still against the God of Israel, because you can't serve them both. It's either one or the other. There's no middle ground. And if you are not serving the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, you are serving Lucifer. It's that simple. Like, there is only one true and living God. And you can't call him whatever you want to call him and think that everything is okay. Like, the instructions are here. Like, how else are you going to keep Passover? Because the other thing that they don't tell you, what they don't tell you is that, hey, yeah, well, we keep Passover too, right? Like, we're just like you guys. We keep Passover. But here, have some wine. Have some wine. Like, just think of it. Again, I said earlier that the Passover feast, it's so simple. It is a simple thing. Just think of who we are as a people. We were shepherds in Egypt. That was our profession. We were shepherds. We kept the flocks. The Egyptians despised us because we were shepherds. Egyptians did not like shepherds. They disdained them. Imagine this. Shepherds were an abomination to the Egyptians, if anything could ever be so far from the truth. But that's what we were to the Egyptians. So, as a hard-working shepherd in the field tending to your flocks, when you have to keep the Passover, my goodness, you didn't have time for the bread to rise. Just have unleavened bread, lamb, bitter herbs, and water. Water. Where would you get the money or the gold or the silver to pay for wine? If you are a shepherd, just think logically. Where would you get that sort of wealth to go and buy wine? Wine wasn't something that you indulged in as a people. Never will you ever find within the scriptures that a holy feast or a holy time is to be observed with the consumption of wine. There is no alcohol involved when it comes to serving the God of Israel. However, Elder Michael, there's a group of people that every Sunday, not only do they just serve you wine, but they give you a little wafer, they call it. I don't know what they call it, but they give you a wafer. I'm sorry? Are you Catholic? You from Trinidad? Okay, I know. Most black people from Trinidad. Hence the name Trinidad. They're Catholic. And folks down in Barbados, they're usually Anglican, Elder Michael. As you know, in Christ Church and all those type of church. St. Michael and Christ Church. Where you come from? The division, they took it an extra step. They even got the trident on the flag. Neptune's trident. My goodness. We just can't seem to let go of Pharaoh. No matter what we do or where we go, can't let go of Pharaoh. Don't want to let go of Pharaoh. Because the spirit, it's like the scripture says, the enemy, the stranger that is within thee, shall get up very high, and ye shall come down very low. That stranger that is within is that old spirit, that old wine that doesn't want to leave Israel alone. It just can't seem to detach itself from us. A lot of people would understand if you have a certain background, when we are teaching about the Spirit and when we talk about the Christ, and when Elder came out and did the lesson and finally revealed what he revealed, for us with a certain background, it's easy for us to understand. It's easy for us to understand because you grow up in an environment where you see those things. Oh, yes, you did, Elder Michael. We all witnessed certain things happening around us that would explain as to why it made it so much easier for us to understand. That, yeah, well, there's Jesus, there's the Christ. We can understand that. But some people, they just don't want to understand. If you grew up in the South, or if you grew up in the Caribbean, you would understand about spiritual possession. and you would understand about Duppy and ghosts and those type of things, and Shango and all those type of things, and people are doing it's here in the scriptures. And Jumbi, we understand that. We know what that means. But if you grew up in the city, if you're one of these, these newfound generation folks, they don't understand. They don't understand exactly what they're dealing with. But yes, there is a lot of spiritual activity amongst us as a people. Sometimes you can see it as plain as day, other times you can't. But there's always that question that people ask sometimes when they see something odd, and they say, what would possess you to do such a thing? What possessed you to do that? So, I mean, even in the language and the way that we phrase things, it's there. If you just open your eyes and you would see, but for somehow this thing called Christianity, which is basically Egypt, there's no difference between what they did in Egypt of old in comparison to what they do now with Christianity. There is just no difference. Once you have the eyes, you can see it, and the ears to hear, you can definitely hear it. The time of Passover, time of unleavened bread. I'm going to go to Matthew. Is my time up? Are you serious? No way. It can't be. You guys did not fix that clock. It is up? Oh, well, it seems that I've run my course. And Elder Michael, I tried. Brian, Lewis, Lennox, I've tried. Deshaun, I've tried. Natasha and Priest Kirk, for all the folks that are here, I tried. But you just cannot separate Egypt from our people. You can't. All you can do and all that you can hope for is that when the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob sends people our way, because it has nothing to do with us, that we're able to teach them. And then they make up their own decisions. They make up their own mind as to how and where they take the journey from here. All we can do is sound a trumpet. And in representing this nation, I am proud, very proud, to be able to do that, just to sound the trumpet and to say that there truly is a God in Israel. He is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. I hope that this afternoon has been fruitful. I'm almost certain that I should keep my glasses on when I'm looking at that clock, although it's so big. I could have swore it was going on to 3 o'clock. No? I'm past the limit? Well, anyways, that is it for this afternoon. I do apologize for not getting into everything, but there'll always be a next time. If we don't cover things today, we'll cover it next Saturday. And with that, I want to say happy Passover, happy New Year. This is our time of the year. And I want to bid everyone peace.
In the springtime,